Part 1. The meeting room floated in the darkness of space, far from any star. Inside, representatives from 47 different alien species sat in their chairs, talking and arguing. Ambassador Vincent Harper stood in front of them all. He was a human, and he had come to deliver a message that would change everything. Vincent looked at the aliens around him. Some had scales, some had fur, and some looked like they were made of crystal or metal. They had ruled the galaxy for thousands of years. They had built empires, created laws, and decided who could travel between the stars. Humans were not part of their club. The aliens thought humans were too simple, too young, too weak. "We have tried to be patient," Vincent said. His voice was calm but firm. "For 3 generations, we asked you to treat us fairly. We asked for protection when pirates attacked our ships. We asked for the right to trade with other species. We asked to be part of your council. Every time you said no." One of the aliens made a clicking sound with its mouth. It looked like a giant insect with too many legs. "What can you do about it, human? You have small ships and old weapons. We have fleets that could destroy your entire home system in a day." Vincent smiled, but it was not a happy smile. "You are right about one thing. We do not have bigger ships than you. We have something much better than that." While Vincent talked to the aliens, something was happening back home. Admiral Patricia Cole stood inside what looked like a giant metal room. But this room was not on a ship. It was inside Earth's moon. Humans had been working in secret for 50 years, hollowing out the moon and turning it into something incredible. "Admiral, all systems are ready," said Lieutenant Commander Greg Mason. He was checking the controls at his station. "We have 3,000 fusion reactors running at full power. The weapons are charged and ready to fire." Patricia looked at a screen that showed Earth floating in space. The blue and green planet looked peaceful and beautiful. Humans had lived there for hundreds of thousands of years. They had survived ice ages and diseases. They had fought wars and made peace. And when they finally reached the stars, the aliens had treated them like children who didn't matter. That was about to change. "Send the signal," Patricia ordered. "Turn on all the weapons. Let everyone in the galaxy see what we have built." The moon began to glow with light from inside. Massive doors opened on the surface, revealing weapons bigger than mountains. Energy readings shot up so high that every alien sensor in the galaxy started screaming warnings. But the moon was not the only surprise. 3 other objects in the human solar system started to change as well. Mars, the red planet, had been secretly transformed. Titan, a moon of Saturn, shed its icy covering to show weapon systems underneath. Even tiny Pluto, far out in the cold darkness, lit up with the power of 100 suns. Back at the meeting, alarms started going off on every alien's device. They looked at their screens and their faces changed. Some turned pale, some started shaking, and some just stared in shock. "Those energy readings," whispered one alien who looked like living crystal. "That is impossible. No one builds weapons that big. No one uses that much power." Vincent nodded slowly. "You thought we were building bigger ships. We were not. We were building something the galaxy has never seen before. We took our planets and moons and turned them into weapons, and right now they are all pointing at your homeworlds." The room went completely silent. Even the clicking insect alien had stopped making noise. "This is insane," said another alien. "You have violated every treaty about weapons. You have built doomsday devices. The Council will never allow this." "The Council," Vincent said quietly, "does not get to decide anymore. You had your chance to treat us as equals. You chose to treat us as lesser beings. So we built these weapons to defend ourselves, and we will not turn them off just because you are scared." One of the older aliens, who had lived for over 1,000 years, stood up slowly. "Do you understand what you have done? You have changed the balance of power that has kept peace in the galaxy for millennia. Other species will build their own planet weapons now. There will be an arms race that could destroy us all." Vincent looked at the ancient alien with cold eyes. "We understand perfectly. We learned from watching you. You kept peace by being stronger than everyone else. You controlled trade routes, mining rights, and technology because you had the biggest fleets. Now we have something bigger. If that causes problems, maybe you should have thought about that before you left us with no other choice." Far away from the meeting, on one of humanity's space stations, Captain Amy Rodriguez was watching the alien reactions on her screen. She had been part of the secret project for 10 years. She had helped plan the construction of the weapons. She knew exactly what they could do. "They are terrified," she said to her second-in-command. "Good. Let them feel what we felt when their ships showed up in our space and we had no way to defend ourselves." Her officer nodded. Do you think they will try to attack us? Amy smiled. Some of them will. There are always fools who think they can win any fight. But when we destroy the first fleet that tries, the others will think twice. Back at the council meeting, Vincent was finishing his speech. We are not asking for permission anymore. We are telling you how things are going to be from now on. Humans will have the same rights as every other species. We will trade where we want, travel where we want, and settle on any planet we choose. And if anyone tries to stop us, they will learn what our weapons can do. He turned and started walking toward the exit. Colonel Lisa Zhang, who had been standing quietly beside him the whole time, followed. Behind them, the aliens started talking all at once, their voices rising in panic and anger. Do you think that went well? Lisa asked when they were in the hallway. Vincent shrugged. They are afraid of us now. That is a start. Fear gets you respect faster than being nice. We tried being nice for 3 generations. It got us nowhere, and what happens next? Lisa wanted to know. Now we wait and see which species are smart enough to negotiate and which ones are dumb enough to fight. And when the fighting starts, we show the galaxy exactly what happens when you threaten humanity. In the human solar system, 4 weaponized worlds waited in silence. Their massive weapons were ready. Their shields were up. Their crews were prepared for war. The age of humanity being weak was over. The age of planet-sized warships had begun, and the galaxy would never be the same again. The Krell Dominion had ruled their part of space for 800 years. They were warriors born and raised to fight. Their ships were covered in weapons and armor. Their soldiers were trained from childhood to conquer and destroy. When they heard about humanity's warning, their leader, Lord Commander Ven, laughed so hard he nearly choked. The humans want us to leave their colonies alone? Ven said to his officers. They were gathered in his war room on the biggest Krell battleship ever built. They want us to pay them money for taking minerals from their asteroids. What are they going to do if we say no? Throw rocks at us? One of his officers, an old soldier named Drax, looked worried. He had been studying the reports about the energy readings from the human solar system. Commander, I think we should be careful. The power levels they are showing are unlike anything we have ever seen. Maybe we should talk to them first before we do anything. Ven slammed his fist on the table. We do not talk to prey animals. We show them who is stronger. Prepare Battle Group Omega. We are going to fly to their homeworld and teach them a lesson they will never forget. 3 days later, 15,000 Krell warships entered the edge of the human solar system. They came in their traditional formation, shaped like a giant spear designed to punch through any defense. Every ship was armed with plasma cannons, missile launchers, and shields that could take incredible punishment. The Krell were confident they could destroy anything the humans had. Captain Amy Rodriguez was watching them from a human observation post on Triton, one of Neptune's moons. She saw the massive Krell fleet on her sensors and smiled. Everything was going exactly as the humans had planned. They took the bait, she reported to Admiral Cole. The whole fleet is coming straight toward us, just like we predicted. Perfect, Admiral Cole replied from her command post inside the moon. Get ready to surprise them. The Krell ships moved deeper into the solar system, their sensors scanning for human defenses. What they found confused them. Where was Pluto supposed to be? The small planet was not in its normal orbit. Their computers showed that it had somehow moved billions of kilometers in less than a week. Then they realized Pluto was moving toward them. Fast. All ships. Evasive action, Ven shouted. But you cannot dodge a planet. Pluto was small compared to Earth, but it was still a massive ball of rock and ice bigger than most moons. And it was accelerating right at the Krell fleet. The surface of Pluto opened up like a flower made of metal. Hundreds of weapon ports appeared, each one the size of a mountain. Strange devices turned on, creating fields of energy that grabbed the Krell ships like invisible hands. The ships tried to escape, but they could not move. Their engines fired at full power, but the gravitational fields held them in place. Ships started crashing into each other. Their shields overlapped and created feedback loops that made them explode. Fusion reactors overloaded and turned ships into miniature suns. In less than a minute, the organized Krell formation turned into chaos. Then Pluto fired its main weapon. A beam of superheated plasma shot out from the planet's north pole. It was so bright that it could be seen from Earth, even though Earth was billions of kilometers away. The beam cut through the frozen Krell fleet like a knife through butter. Hundreds of ships simply stopped existing. their atoms scattered across space. Commander Kyle Peterson was piloting one of the few regular human warships in the area. His job was to watch the battle and gather information from any Krell ships that survived. He watched in amazement as the tiny planet destroyed the massive Krell fleet. "This is unbelievable," said his co-pilot, Lieutenant Sarah Mills. "We actually built something that can destroy an entire fleet by itself." "4 of them," Kyle corrected her, pointing at his tactical screen. "Look, Mars is coming around Earth now." The red planet moved into view from behind Earth. The Krell ships that had survived Pluto's attack tried to regroup and fight back. But Mars opened fire with a different type of weapon that the Krell had never seen before. Chunks of rock and metal shot out from Mars at incredible speeds. These were not normal missiles. They were asteroids that had been accelerated to nearly the speed of light. Each one carried more destructive power than all the nuclear weapons humanity had ever built combined. And Mars was firing hundreds of them. The asteroids hit the Krell ships like rain hitting tissue paper. Shields meant nothing. Armor meant nothing. The sheer kinetic energy of the impacts turned battleships into clouds of vapor. Cruisers broke apart like toys. Fighters simply disappeared. Ven watched his fleet die around him from his command ship. In his 800 years, the Krell had never lost a major battle. They had conquered dozens of species. They had destroyed fleets 10 times the size of their enemies. And now they were being wiped out by 2 planets. "Retreat," he finally screamed. "All ships jump to hyperspace now." But only a few hundred ships out of the original 15,000 were still capable of jumping. The rest were destroyed, disabled, or trapped in Pluto's gravity field. Those that could escape did so immediately, fleeing back to Krell space to tell their people about the horror they had witnessed. The battle had lasted less than an hour. The greatest Krell invasion force ever assembled had been completely destroyed, and the humans had not lost a single ship. On Luna Prime, Admiral Patricia Cole watched the last Krell vessels disappear into hyperspace. She turned to Lieutenant Commander Greg Mason, who was monitoring all the weapon systems. "All systems performed as expected?" she asked. "Better than expected," Greg replied. "We only used 30% of our total firepower. Pluto and Mars both have enough ammunition and power to fight for 3 more days straight without needing to recharge." Patricia nodded slowly. "Good. Make sure the data from this battle gets sent to every species in the galaxy. Let them all see what happens when someone attacks humanity." News of the battle spread across the galaxy faster than light. Alien governments watched the recordings in shock. Military analysts studied the tactics in disbelief. Politicians argued about what it all meant. But everyone agreed on one thing. Humanity had changed the rules of warfare forever. The Krell Dominion, proud and powerful for centuries, sent a message to humanity 3 days later. It was an official surrender and a request for peace negotiations. They would withdraw from all human colonies. They would pay reparations for the minerals they had taken. They would never threaten humanity again. Other alien species took note. If the mighty Krell could be destroyed so easily, what chance did anyone else have? But not everyone was smart enough to learn the lesson. 3 major powers in the galaxy decided that humanity's weapons were too dangerous to be allowed. They formed a coalition and began gathering their fleets. They told themselves that they were bringing peace and order back to the galaxy. Really, they were just afraid of losing their power. Ambassador Vincent Harper heard about the coalition fleet being assembled. He was not surprised. There are always those who cannot accept change, who would rather fight than adapt. "Let them come," he told Colonel Lisa Zhang. "We have shown the galaxy what 1 or 2 of our weapons can do. If they force us to use all 4 at once, there will be nothing left of their fleets but dust." "What if they bring more ships than the Krell did?" Lisa asked. Vincent smiled coldly. "Then we will need more planets." "I hear Jupiter is available." On Titan, another of humanity's weaponized moons, Captain Danny Moore was overseeing the final preparations of humanity's secret weapon. While Pluto, Mars, and Luna had been designed to destroy attacking fleets, Titan had been built for a different purpose. The surface of Titan split open, and from the depths came ships, thousands of ships. They were not as big as planets, but they were massive compared to normal vessels, and they used the same gravitational technology that powered the planetary weapons. "The fleet is ready," Danny reported to Admiral Cole. "When the coalition comes, we will have 3,000 ships waiting for them. Each one can fight 10 enemy vessels at once." The galaxy held its breath and waited. Humanity had proven they could defend their home system. Now they were about to prove they could take the fight anywhere they wanted. The age of planet-sized warships was just beginning, and the galaxy was learning that humanity would never be pushed around again. The emergency meeting of the Galactic Council was complete chaos. Aliens from 47 different species were all shouting at the same time. Some were angry, some were scared, and some were both. Security drones flew around the chamber trying to keep order, but it was not working. The air itself seemed to vibrate with panic. "This is unacceptable," shouted High Chancellor Zix from his floating platform. He was the leader of the Concordat, one of the oldest civilizations in the galaxy. "The humans have broken every law we have about weapons of mass destruction. They must be punished immediately." Vincent Harper stood in the center of the circular chamber with Colonel Lisa Zhang beside him. Aliens were screaming at them from all directions, but Vincent's face remained calm. He waited for the noise to die down before he spoke. "The Krell invaded our home system," Vincent said in a clear, strong voice. "They came with 15,000 warships to destroy our planet and enslave our people. We defended ourselves. That is our right under your own galactic laws. By turning planets into weapons," the Chancellor shot back. "By building devices that can destroy entire fleets. This technology is too dangerous. You must dismantle it immediately and submit to Council oversight." "No," Vincent said simply. The chamber went completely silent. No one had ever refused a direct order from the High Chancellor before. "What did you say?" Zix asked quietly. "I said no," Vincent repeated. "You refused to help us when the Krell raided our colonies. You refused to give us justice when the Vraxen took our people as slaves. You even refused to let us trade freely, saying we were too primitive. We built these weapons because you gave us no choice, and we will not destroy them just because you are suddenly worried about fairness." A crystalline alien from Helios Prime flickered with different colors, which meant it was agitated. "You do not understand what you have done, human. The balance of power has kept peace in this galaxy for thousands of years. Your weapons have destroyed that balance. Now everyone will want planet-sized weapons. There will be an arms race that could destroy us all." Lisa Zhang stepped forward. "Your peace was built on humanity being weak and excluded. That was not peace for us. That was oppression." While the Council argued, three of the biggest powers in the galaxy were already making plans. The Sovereignty of Aligned Worlds, the Teveran Empire, and the Merchants Guild of Andromeda held secret meetings. They all agreed that humanity's weapons could not be allowed to exist. If humans kept their planet weapons, the old order would collapse and these three powers would lose their control over the galaxy. They decided to form a military coalition. Together, they would have 2,000 warships, representing the finest military technology the galaxy had to offer. They would jump into the human solar system, destroy the planetary weapons, and force humanity to surrender. Admiral Richard Hayes was chosen to command the coalition fleet. He was a human who had left Earth 50 years ago and joined the Sovereignty military. He had risen through the ranks and earned respect from alien officers. Now he was being asked to attack his own birth planet. "We are not going to hurt Earth," he told his officers during a planning meeting. "Our mission is to disable the planetary weapons and force a peaceful surrender. We show them overwhelming force, they realize they cannot win, and they agree to dismantle the weapons. Simple peacekeeping operation." His second in command was a Teveran warrior named Korshen. The Teveran looked like bipedal lions with silver fur and 3 eyes. "Admiral, the intelligence reports about their weapons are concerning. They destroyed the entire Krell fleet in less than an hour. We should not underestimate them." "The Krell were arrogant and stupid," Richard replied. "They flew straight into a trap. We will be smart and coordinated. We will use proper tactics. There is a big difference." Back on Luna Prime, Admiral Patricia Cole was reviewing the coalition fleet composition with her command staff. Lieutenant Commander Greg Mason highlighted the different ship types on a holographic display that floated in the air. "They are bringing everything they have," Greg noted. "Dreadnoughts, carriers, siege platforms, and support vessels. This is not just a raid. They are planning a full invasion." "Excellent," Patricia said, which surprised everyone in the room. "Let them commit their full strength. Let them think they have the advantage." She turned to her communications officer. "Send activation codes to Titan and Europa. Tell them to deploy everything. It is time to show the coalition what else we have built." On Titan, Captain Danny Moore received the orders and smiled. Titan had been designed differently than the other weaponized moons. While Pluto and Mars were pure combat weapons, Titan had been built as a shipyard. Its methane lakes had been converted into manufacturing centers. Its rocky interior had been hollowed out to create the largest construction facility humanity had ever made. "Admiral Cole wants us to launch the fleet?" Danny asked over the communications channel. "All 3,000 ships?" "Every single one," came the reply. Titan's surface opened in dozens of places. Massive doors that had been hidden under ice and rock slid apart. From the darkness inside came humanity's secret fleet, 3,000 warships, each one built using the same gravitational technology that powered the planet weapons. They were not as big as planets, but they were enormous compared to normal ships, and each one could bend space-time itself to move and fight. The Coalition fleet gathered at their staging point, a neutral system halfway between their homeworlds and Earth. 2,000 ships from 3 different civilizations formed up in attack formation. They were ready to restore order to the galaxy. "All ships prepare for jump to human space," Admiral Hayes ordered. "Remember, we are peacekeepers. We use minimum necessary force. Our goal is to disable their weapons, not to massacre civilians." Korshin checked his tactical displays one more time. Something felt wrong, but he could not identify what it was. "Admiral, I recommend we send scout ships ahead to gather intelligence before we commit the main fleet." "Denied," Richard said. "Speed and surprise are our advantages. We jump in, we show force, they surrender. If we delay, they have time to prepare." The Coalition fleet activated their hyperspace drives and jumped toward the human solar system. When they emerged at the edge of human space, they found the welcome committee waiting for them. Admiral Hayes stared at his tactical display in complete shock. His intelligence reports had said humanity had maybe 300 modern warships. The screen in front of him showed 3,000 contacts. "This has to be a sensor error," he said. "Run a full diagnostic on all systems." "Sensors are working perfectly, Admiral," his operations officer reported. "Those are real ships, and they are moving into combat formation." Lisa Zhang watched the Coalition fleet from her command station on Luna Prime. She had argued against this confrontation. She had warned the Council that humanity would not back down quietly. Now her predictions were coming true, and she felt sad about it. "They are using standard engagement patterns," she said to Admiral Cole. "They still think this is a normal battle." Patricia's smile was cold and hard. "Let them think that for a few more minutes. Captain Rodriguez, what is the status of our outer defenses?" From her post on Triton, Amy Rodriguez checked her instruments. "Pluto is in final position. Mars is holding at designated coordinates. Titan's fleet has cleared the construction bays and is ready for combat." "We are ready, Admiral." "Then let us give our guests a proper demonstration of human warfare," Patricia ordered. "All ships and planetary weapons execute Battle Plan Omega." The human fleet moved first, accelerating at speeds that should have been impossible. Ships appeared and disappeared across the battlefield, making short jumps through space by creating temporary bubbles in reality. The Coalition targeting computers went crazy, trying and failing to lock onto vessels that kept teleporting to different locations. Admiral Hayes realized with growing horror that his fleet was in serious trouble. "All batteries, open fire. Saturate the area with weapons fire." The Coalition fleet unleashed everything they had. Plasma beams hot enough to melt asteroids, kinetic rounds traveling at relativistic speeds, and antimatter missiles that could crack moons. The combined firepower of 3 civilizations lit up space like a second sun. The human ships barely noticed. Commander Kyle Peterson held onto his command chair as a Tevran plasma beam washed over his ship. The gravitational shields bent the energy around his vessel like water flowing around a rock. The beam that should have vaporized his ship instead dispersed harmlessly into space. "Return fire," Kyle ordered. "Target their flagship." His weapons officer, Lieutenant Jack Carter, fired a graviton lance. The weapon did not just break through shields, it crushed them by creating a localized gravity well that imploded everything in a small area. The Tevran dreadnought folded in on itself like paper being crumpled, its shields providing no protection against physics itself. All across the battlefield, human ships danced through the Coalition formation, their weapons carved through shields and armor that had been considered the best in the galaxy. The technological gap was not just significant, it was impossible to overcome. "All ships retreat," Admiral Hayes finally ordered. His proud fleet was being destroyed, and he could not do anything to stop it. "Fall back to Rally Point Beta." Human Marines began boarding the surrendered Coalition ships one by one. They moved through the corridors in their powered armor, weapons ready but not firing. The alien crews had already laid down their arms and were waiting in their designated assembly areas. There was no fight left in them. They had seen what human weapons could do. On the Sovereignty flagship, Admiral Richard Hayes sat in his command chair and watched his bridge crew being escorted away by human soldiers. He had failed completely. His fleet had been destroyed without managing to damage even a single human vessel. Worse, he had been defeated by his own species, by humans who had stayed on Earth while he went to serve alien masters. A young human officer approached him. "Admiral Hayes, I am Lieutenant Ben Crawford. You are to come with me to Luna Prime for debriefing." Richard stood up slowly. He was not handcuffed or restrained. The humans were treating him with respect, which somehow made it worse. "What will happen to my crew?" "They will be processed and returned to their homeworlds," Ben replied. "We are not barbarians. We do not execute prisoners or take slaves, but they will go home with a message about what happens when you attack humanity." On the Teveran battlecruiser, Korshin met with the human boarding party commander, Captain Nicole Baker. She was professional and efficient as she secured the ship. "You fought well," Korshin said. "I have never seen technology like yours. Where did you get graviton weapons?" "That technology is theoretical even for the most advanced species." Nicole smiled. "We built it ourselves. Humans are good at taking theories and making them real. We had 50 years and a lot of motivation. Fear of extinction is a powerful teacher." "What happens now?" Korshin asked. "Now you go home and tell your emperor that humanity is not a target anymore. We are equals. Actually, we are more than equals. We are the strongest military force in the galaxy now. If the Teveran want peace, they will have it. If they want war, we will give them that too." Back on Luna Prime, Vincent Harper stood in front of the Galactic Council once again. This time the chamber was completely silent. The aliens looked at him with fear in their eyes. The human fleet was still in formation around the captured coalition ships, a visible reminder of humanity's power. "We did not ask for this war," Vincent said. "We asked for equal rights. We asked for protection under galactic law. We asked to be treated with basic respect. You responded with mockery and then invasion. So we responded with overwhelming force." He paused and looked around the chamber. "This is your last chance to negotiate in good faith. We are offering peace, trade, and cooperation. But if you choose conflict again, the next fleet we deploy will not be measured in thousands of ships. It will be measured in dozens of weaponized planets. We have already begun work on Jupiter." The chamber erupted in gasps and shocked whispers. Jupiter was a gas giant bigger than all the other planets in the solar system combined. If humans could turn that into a weapon, it would be powerful enough to destroy entire solar systems. High Chancellor Zix stood up, his voice shaking. "You would not dare. That would violate every principle of civilized warfare. You violated every principle when you left us defenseless and exploited." Vincent shot back. "We learned from you. We learned that power matters more than principles. We learned that the strong make the rules and the weak follow them. Well, we are strong now, so we will make new rules." Lisa Zhang stepped forward with a data tablet. "We have prepared a treaty. It grants humanity full membership in the Galactic Council with voting rights. It opens all trade routes to human merchants. It provides mutual defense agreements. And it formally recognizes humanity's right to maintain our planetary defense network. All 47 Council species must sign it. And if we refuse?" asked a representative from the Merchants Guild. Vincent's expression turned cold. "Then we stop being diplomatic. We start taking what we want instead of asking for it. We have the power to enforce our will across the galaxy. We would prefer to use diplomacy, but we will use force if necessary. The choice is yours." The council requested a recess to discuss the treaty. The aliens gathered in small groups, arguing in their various languages. But the outcome was never really in doubt. They could either accept humanity's terms peacefully or wait for humanity to impose them by force. 3 hours later, the vote was unanimous. All 47 species signed the treaty. On Earth, people celebrated in the streets. For the first time in 3 generations, humanity had the same rights as every other species in the galaxy. Ships could travel freely, traders could sell their goods anywhere, and human colonies would be protected by galactic law. But not everyone was celebrating. In the military command centers, officers like Admiral Patricia Cole knew that this was not the end of the struggle. They had won the opening battles, but maintaining their position would require constant vigilance. "Do you think they will honor the treaty?" Greg Mason asked her. "For now," Patricia replied. "They are too afraid to break it immediately. But fear fades over time. Eventually, some species will test us again." They will look for weaknesses or try to find ways around our defenses. We need to stay ahead of them. We could continue expanding our capabilities, Greg suggested. Turn more moons into weapons. Build more ships. Maybe even complete the Jupiter project. Patricia considered this carefully. We need to be smart about it. If we build too much too fast, we might trigger another coalition against us. But if we build too slowly, we give them time to catch up. It is a delicate balance. Captain Danny Moore had a different perspective. He was overseeing the transition of Titan from a military shipyard to a civilian construction facility. The same technology that built warships could build colony ships, trading vessels, and exploration craft. We spent 50 years building weapons, he told his staff. We proved we can defend ourselves. Now we need to prove we can do more than just fight. The galaxy needs to see that humans can create, not just destroy. His assistant, Julie Harper, agreed. The aliens are afraid of us now. But fear is not the same as respect. If we want real, lasting peace, we need to earn their respect through more than just superior firepower. Can we do both? Danny wondered. Can we be warriors and builders at the same time? We have to be, Julie said, because the galaxy is watching everything we do. If we become nothing but a military power, we will be isolated and hated. But if we contribute to galactic civilization while maintaining our strength, we can lead instead of just dominate. Across human space, scientists and engineers were already working on civilian applications of the graviton technology. The same systems that powered planet-sized weapons could revolutionize transportation, energy production, and manufacturing. Cities were being designed that would float in the sky using gravitational manipulation. Ships were being built that could reach distant stars in weeks instead of months. But the military applications continued as well. Research teams on Europa were developing next-generation weapons. Intelligence officers were mapping potential threats. Strategists were planning for conflicts that might not happen for decades. Commander Kyle Peterson was assigned to the new Strategic Planning Division. His job was to think about future scenarios and develop responses to them. He spent his days imagining all the ways the current peace could fall apart. What if the coalition reforms with more members? He proposed during a planning session. What if 50 species band together against us? Then we deploy Jupiter, replied the senior planner, a veteran officer named Colonel Steve Wright. One Jupiter-class weapon could destroy 50 fleets simultaneously. The key is to make sure everyone knows we have that capability so they never try. Deterrence through superior firepower, Kyle said. That only works if they believe we will actually use it. They believe it, Steve assured him. We destroyed the Krell fleet and defeated the coalition without hesitation. We have proven we will fight. Now we need to prove we can do other things too. On the Galactic Council station, Vincent Harper was settling into his new role as Earth's permanent representative. He had an office now, a staff, and regular meetings with alien diplomats. Some of them were genuinely friendly. Most were just careful to hide their resentment. Lisa Zhang, now promoted to general, joined him for their weekly review. The treaty is holding so far. Trade is starting to flow. Human colonies are expanding without interference. So far so good, but, Vincent prompted. But there are reports of extremist groups forming. Aliens who think the galaxy should belong to the original species. Not newcomers like us. They call themselves the Purists. Intelligence suggests they are gathering resources and recruiting members. Vincent nodded slowly. Extremists are predictable. They will try something eventually. We just need to be ready when they do. Should we strike preemptively? Lisa asked. No, Vincent decided. We are not the bad guys in this story. We defend ourselves when attacked, but we do not start wars. Let them make the first move. Then we finish it. The first 6 months of the new order passed relatively peacefully. Ships from dozens of species traveled through human space without incident. Trade agreements were signed. Cultural exchanges began. It almost looked like real peace, but under the surface, tensions were building. The Purists were growing stronger. Other species were studying human technology, trying to find counters to it. 6 months had passed since the Coalition War ended. The galaxy looked different now in ways that went far beyond politics and treaties. Trade routes had shifted to include human merchants. Scientific collaborations included human researchers. Even the Galactic Council itself had been restructured to give humanity real voting. Power instead of just observer status, ambassador. Vincent Harper walked through the corridors of the new diplomatic station that humans had helped build. Aliens who once ignored him now nodded respectfully when he passed. Some genuinely respected humanity's achievements. Most were simply afraid of what would happen if they showed disrespect. Vincent could accept either motivation. Ambassador, called General Lisa Zhang, approaching from a side corridor. Her promotion from colonel had been well earned. She now commanded all human military forces outside the solar system. The treaty ratification is complete. All 47 council species have signed the final version. Vincent accepted the data tablet she handed him. He scrolled through the terms one more time, though he had memorized them weeks ago. Equal trade rights with no restrictions. Full protection under galactic law for all human citizens. Permanent seats on the Security Council. And most importantly, formal recognition of humanity's right to maintain and upgrade their planetary defense network. We actually achieved it, Vincent said quietly. We terrified them into it, Lisa corrected him. That is not the same as earning genuine respect. Respect can come later, Vincent replied. Right now we needed security. We needed to make sure no one could ever treat humans as inferior again. Fear accomplishes that goal. Back in the solar system, Admiral Patricia Cole was overseeing the completion of humanity's fifth planetary weapon. Europa, one of Jupiter's moons, had been transformed over the past 6 months into something unique. Unlike the pure combat weapons like Pluto and Mars, Europa was designed as a combination shipyard, research facility, and defensive platform. Lieutenant Commander Greg Mason presented the final systems report at their morning briefing. All graviton projectors are online and functioning at 112% of design specifications. Manufacturing capacity is running at 300% of our original projections, and the research division has submitted some interesting proposals for the next phase. Next phase? Patricia raised an eyebrow. She had been focused on maintaining their current capabilities, not expanding them. They want to scale up, Greg explained. They are not talking about more moons. They are talking about Jupiter itself. Patricia took a deep breath and looked at the data on her screen. The researchers wanted to hollow out the gas giant Jupiter and turn it into a weapon system large enough to destroy multiple solar systems simultaneously. The scale was almost beyond comprehension. The engineering challenges would be enormous, but the theoretical calculations showed it was possible. Shelf that project for now, Patricia decided. We have made our point to the galaxy. We do not need to give them nightmares by building a system killer. Keep the research active, but do not begin construction unless the situation changes. On Earth, civilian life had been transformed by the technology developed for the planetary weapons. Graviton drives that could bend space-time were being adapted for public transportation. Fusion reactors provided unlimited clean energy to cities that had once struggled with power shortages. Manufacturing techniques perfected in Titan's military. Shipyards were now building floating cities that hovered above the clouds using gravitational manipulation. Captain Danny Moore had retired from active military service to oversee the civilian applications division. He stood in his office on Titan, watching through the viewport as construction drones assembled a massive colony ship. This vessel would carry 50,000 people to a distant star system where humans would establish a new world. We spent 50 years building weapons to defend ourselves, Danny said to his assistant, Julie Harper, who was Vincent's daughter. Maybe now we can spend the next 50 years building things that improve lives instead of ending them. Can we really do that? Julie asked. After everything we built, everything we proved we are capable of, can we really go back to peaceful exploration and construction? Danny considered the question carefully. It was something he had thought about many times. I think we can do both. We can be explorers and defenders at the same time. Builders and warriors. Scientists and soldiers. That is what makes humanity special. We contain multitudes. Across the galaxy, other species were learning the same lesson about humanity. The Krell Dominion, humbled by their devastating defeat, had opened embassies on Earth and begun extensive trade negotiations. The Vraxan Swarm had released all human prisoners, paid substantial reparations, and publicly apologized for past actions. Even the proud Teveran Empire had acknowledged humanity as equals and proposed joint military exercises. But not every species accepted the new order peacefully. In the dark spaces between stars, far from the major trade routes and diplomatic stations, extremist factions were gathering. They called themselves the Purists, and they believed the galaxy should belong to its ancient inhabitants. not to aggressive newcomers like humanity. Intelligence reports about the purists crossed General Lisa Zhang's desk every week. Ships disappearing near the galactic rim, unusual energy signatures in uncharted systems. Intercepted communications suggesting that some weapon was being built, something designed specifically to counter humanity's planetary defenses. She brought her concerns to Vincent during their regular weekly meeting. They sat in his office overlooking the main council chamber, drinking coffee that had become popular among some alien species. "The purists are not going away," Lisa warned. "They are getting stronger and more organized. Peace enforced through fear is inherently unstable. Eventually, someone will find a way to challenge us, or they will become desperate enough to try even if they think they will fail." Vincent nodded slowly. He had been receiving similar reports from human intelligence agencies. "Then we make sure we stay ahead of them. We continue improving our technology, continue building our strength, and continue showing the galaxy that humanity is not just powerful, but inevitable. We are here to stay, and anyone who tries to remove us will fail." He gazed out at the stars visible through the viewport. Somewhere out there were threats that had not revealed themselves yet. New enemies, new challenges, new problems that would require human ingenuity to solve. But he was confident that humanity could handle whatever came next. "The purists will make their move eventually," Vincent continued. "When they do, we will crush them so completely that no one else will want to follow their example. That is how you maintain deterrence. You do not just win battles. You win so decisively that future battles become unnecessary." Life continued across human space. Children were born on colonies dozens of light years from Earth. Students studied at universities that taught both human and alien knowledge. Merchants made fortunes trading goods between species. And always in the background, the military stood ready. On Luna Prime, Admiral Patricia Cole maintained her vigil. Earth rotated peacefully below the weaponized moon, blue and green and beautiful. That planet had given birth to humanity. It had nurtured them through ice ages and plagues. It had watched them split the atom and reach for the stars. And now it stood protected by the most powerful defense network in known history. "Do you think they will try to attack us again?" Greg Mason asked one day, joining Patricia at the observation window. Patricia smiled without much humor. "Probably. Ambition and foolishness are universal constants, not limited to humans. Someone will always think they have found a weakness or developed a counter-strategy, but next time they try, they will remember what happened to the Krell. They will remember the Coalition War. And most importantly, they will remember that we are willing to do whatever is necessary to defend ourselves. We are the ones who built planet-sized weapons," Greg said. "Exactly," Patricia agreed. "We took moons that had existed for billions of years and turned them into instruments of war. We rewrote the fundamental rules of combat. We proved that humanity refuses to be victims, refuses to be weak, refuses to accept limitations that others try to impose on us." Across human space, millions of men and women stood watch. They maintained the weapons, ran the reactors, piloted the ships, and prepared for whatever threats might emerge. They were the guardians of a species that had clawed its way up from primitive beginnings to become the galaxy's newest superpower. They were engineers and soldiers, scientists and warriors. They had built wonders and weapons in equal measure. They had shown the galaxy both human creativity and human ruthlessness. And they had proven beyond any doubt that humanity would never be pushed around again. The age of planet-sized warships had fundamentally changed galactic politics. No longer could the old powers dictate terms to everyone else. No longer could strong species exploit weak ones without consequences. Humanity had introduced a new equation into galactic affairs, one where technological innovation and willingness to act could overcome thousands of years of established power. Some species resented this change. Some feared it, but all of them respected it. Vincent Harper stood before the Galactic Council one final time that year to deliver humanity's annual address.